So I'm going to effectively kind of talk a little bit about some of the changes in the market, which Doug Stevens was talking about earlier on today, and how that's impacted us moving forwards. So I think the idea will be to have a quick run through of those kind of slides around the market and why I think it's important to look at these changes. And then we'll do a quick demo running through a few different things. So we're going to try and cover off as many of the LS retail touch points as we can. So start off with, we've got to look at the opportunity and why I think, or why we think, it's important to look at omni-channel and look at these multiple touch points in a more rounded fashion. So there's some research done by the Harvard Business Review, and they reviewed about 46,000 responses in terms of how people buy these days and how people buy from different channels. So 7% of customers are just purely online guys only, and that number's only going to rise with the advent of Amazon and eBay and Alibaba doing such great things. There's still also the old school guys. So there's still plenty of people who are doing all of their shopping in bricks and mortar stores. 20%, it's a bigger number than I thought it was going to be. But that leaves a remaining chunk, so that's 73%, which we call omni-channel customers, which is going to become a much, much bigger chunk moving forwards. Now, the key thing here is these 73% are a very, very valuable portion of the market for us, because the more touch points we have with a customer, the more chances we have to engage with them, actually produces more revenue for us. On average, they spend 4% more on every single shopping occasion in store if they're a multi-channel customer, because they're not just coming to a store on a whim and buying something. They've done research. They're an informed customer. They've been online. They've been on Facebook. They've been on Pinterest, or wherever it is they're getting their inspiration from. What's even more impressive is if they spend 10% more online than single-channel customers. And that actually goes up with each channel that you add. So the more channels and the more touch points we have, the more chance we have of not just getting more revenue from customers, but also engaging better with them so they have a chance to feel the brand and feel a much deeper connection with the retailer. So this one here it's all about the customer shopping journey. You might have seen this one before on a Microsoft deck, but it's really key to me about how we look at how we engage with customers and the various different ways we have to engage with them. So we have the whole awareness, consideration, evaluation, buying, post-purchase, and relationship management. And when you look at all the various different options there are and the different things there are which we've got to consider to make sure we're using our technology right to talk to customers and to engage with them, there's a plethora of different areas we've really got to focus on. So when Doug was talking earlier about this mapping out of the customer process and the customer story, it's hugely important that we think of how we can impact on those moments of truth and make it valuable. These chunks can be different sizes for different people, and they can pop up in different ways. So, for example, myself, my consideration and evaluation phase is very, very long. I have what my wife calls an overdeveloped sense of buyer's remorse, which kicks in before I've even bought something. So I have to really, really understand deeply what I'm buying before doing it. That's just me, though. You could look at it as an issue, but I think of it much more as an opportunity to build relationships at every single stage of this process. And we'll talk more in a bit about how that would work. Now, also, a lot of you in the room are Microsoft partners, so you've probably heard the word digital transformation on quite a regular basis. It's being drummed into us from every single angle. And there's a few tenets that they think about in terms of empowering employees to do more, giving customers a better experience. And this is a key thing moving forwards for us now. How I look at digital transformation in retail is a few key things which we can bring out and we know that people are wanting to do. Things like intelligent recommendations. LS Recommend is a very powerful way of doing that. Being able to do mobile engagement, social selling, clienteling, and putting tools in the power of people in store to do more when they engage with somebody. So one of the key things is lots of people haven't started on a digital transformation project yet. Nearly half of all companies haven't actually started on a digital transformation project to think about how they're going to do this. That's a big number. It's a lot more than I thought. What's even bigger, though, is more than half think they've got to do it within the next year. So it's key that this is now a very, very poignant time to do this. It's an opportunity for us to look at customers, engage with them, because this is what people are thinking about now. Even more impressive is that 85% of enterprise decision makers who haven't done it yet think it's actually going to mean they're going to fall behind financially. So not only is it people haven't started doing it yet, not only that people want to do it very soon, but also it's key to the success of future businesses. So what we then have is digital influence and how that plays a part in retail transactions. So this graph here basically talks about the percentage of a sale of an in-store transaction that's influenced by digital. So me personally, that when I was talking about that phase of evaluation and consideration, that continues right into the store. More often than not, I'll go to a shop And you'll see a store assistant, and you know for a fact they don't have the same knowledge as what you do via the medium of Google on your phone. So how often do you go to an electronics store and look at a TV, and you don't want to talk to the guy in the store because you know he's probably not going to give you the information you want as quickly as if you scanned the barcode and looked at it on Google. Same goes for if you go to a bike shop. I want to see reviews. I want to see what people are saying about it. So literally going into a bike shop looking at a new mountain bike, but actually looking online and seeing what's going on. So digital plays a huge part in different markets. Mobile has kind of increased that so much because we've got information at our fingertips from wherever we look at it from. These numbers are kind of gradually leveling off. It's not like an exponential growth as it was going back 5, maybe 10 years, but it's still growing fast. So the fact that people are in store wanting information at their fingertips, whether it be through a mobile device, whether it be through in-store technology, it's still growing very, very quickly. You then have these different touch points, so moments that matter in a customer journey. So we have the kind of inspiration phases, the browse and research phase, the validate phase. And depending upon which market you're in will depend upon how big a part digital plays. It's fair to say that automotive, you're not going to go and buy a car online, although we hear people are doing it nowadays with Alibaba selling 6,500 cars. So there is massive changes going on. What's now clear, though, is the browse and research and the selection and validation phases are getting much bigger as well. Also, find inspiration. One of the things that came out of this research was the fact that people don't want to be marketed to in the same way they used to. Push marketing used to be the way of things. We used to have generic, one-size-fits-all emails that goes out to all of our customer base, and they generally go into a dustbin. In fact, if anyone's got Gmail does a rather good job of just filtering out those marketing messages and putting it aside for me to not think about. In fact, the only person that does it well, I think, is Amazon, because they've invested in AI and recommendation engines for a very, very long time. So when I get an email from them, it's more than likely going to be something I'm actually interested in and something that I'm going to park cash with. What's also key is we spoke about these millennials, these kind of strange group of people who we think of sitting on our phones all day long, just not engaging with people, and how they're different from other markets. So I'm kind of on the cusp. I'm just a little bit too old to be a millennial, but I still feel in that same mindset of using technology and using things in the right way. But the problem we think of is we think of Gen X and even older than that, the boomers. Those two generations, we think of them as not being so technically savvy and not being so engaged in the way that the younger generations are. When you look at millennials, they're supposed to make up 75% of the workforce by 2025. So that's a big chunk of people, but who's making up most of the workforce now? There is a lot of millennials there, but it's mainly the guys with the money, the Gen X and the boomers, and how we interact with those using technology has to be thought of in a very similar way to boomers, to millennials. So what's key is millennials spend a lot of time on the phone. So your average millennial spends 69% of their digital day on their smartphone or tablets, which is a big chunk of time. But Gen X, they're not that far behind. They're spending 63% of their time on smartphones and tablets. So we have to think of these guys in a very, very similar way. So mobility as well. Mobile apps versus mobile web. A lot of companies nowadays are really seeing the fact that if they've not got a proper mobile website, the bounce rates become enormous. I know for a fact if I go to a retailer's website and I'm served up with a desktop website on my phone, you just move on to somewhere easier. Almost always happens. So a lot of people are thinking, because I've got a mobile optimized website, then that's going to be just good enough. And in lots of cases, it is good enough, because some people don't shop regularly enough with one brand to want to have an app. However, the app, LS Mobile Loyalty, is a hugely important thing for engaging with customers and giving them a personalized approach. App conversion rates, this comes from a company called POC, who's another mobile app site. It actually doubles the conversion rate of mobile web. I know we were told earlier that we shouldn't always talk about conversion rates, but when we're talking about hitting mobile devices, a conversion rate is the magic number. So 2 times is a very big number. What's even bigger is that when they come online on apps, they spend a hell of a lot more money. They spend 5 times more revenue per user. So the fact that we can put that app in the hands of our customers and give them tools which allows us to personalize recommendations to them, personalize coupons and offers and deals, things that are going to mean something to them and means you're a much more engaging customer. So Amazon, we hear so much about Amazon left, right, and centre because they do a lot of things very, very, very well indeed. They're turning over a fair few quid. They're doing $135 billion last year, which is a staggering amount of money. What's even more amazing is that 35% of all of those sales from Amazon are driven from AI recommendations. We've all been on Amazon and they have, you bought this item, the next item you buy is going to be this one. People who bought this might like this. We just see it as an everyday thing now. But because they've had such a lot of money to plow into it, they've been able to see real value from it. Now, it's only nowadays, in the last couple of years, we've started having some much better tools from Microsoft in terms of cognitive services, in terms of recommendation APIs, and LS have done a great job in taking that technology and adapting it in a way that allows us to push it up to customers and make it available quickly and easily. So, going back to our list of all the ways in which we can engage with people. We have physical engagement, people, humans talking to other humans, and we have digital engagement. So us trying to communicate with our customers via electronic means of some sort or other. So what you have then is you have this process going from awareness through consideration, evaluation, and we have to make sure we engage with people at the right phase using the right tools. Now, LS have produced a lot of tools which sit above and below the line. Obviously, mobile pods is very, very new still technology, but it still sits in that customer engagement where humans are talking to other humans. What's amazing is there's so much more above the line. E-commerce and how LS are changing their e-commerce offering. How we can think of things like published offers and how we can push things through to Facebook, to Twitter. How we think about promotions management and how we can link that to things like likes on Facebook or Instagram. Using things like email receipts. E-receipts, we can do basic email receipts in LS. We've done a bit more stuff to make it a bit more powerful. There's companies like Yakuda in the UK who are doing very nice things with e-receipting. And then importantly, membership management and social engagement. So understanding what people are talking about when they're talking about our products. You know, what's the sentiment analysis against that? How does that impact on what I want to do with my marketing moving forwards? And if we do a good job of all these touch points and using the LS technology available to us, this process, which you can think of as being a very kind of fixed end-to-end journey, if we're doing it right, it's actually a cyclical thing. It goes round in a circle. So somebody comes off the other end and we want to find ways to hook them back in again, whether that's through giving people special offers on email receipts, whether it's through loyalty campaigns using marketing, whether it's through personalized deals. There's lots of ways of making that a cyclical process. So what I'm effectively going to try and do now is basically run through a number of different areas. So the whole point of this session is called kind of going full circle in retail. So I tried to think of a way we could kind of pull in as many different LS components as we could using the tools that are available in the standard LS VM. So Auslug does a great job of building this virtual machine for us. I'm hoping most people are using this, and that everything I'm showing here, well, almost everything I'm showing here, is available within that VM. So LS not only producing the technology, they're making it very easy for us as pre-sales people and as demo people to be able to present this to customers and give them a feel for what's available. So we'll kind of start off on social media on Facebook. We'll then kind of go through to e-commerce, have a quick look at what offers there are. We'll go and redeem in store. We'll then go to mobile POS, and we'll have a look at LS Recommends in action and how that might work with the customer engagement. We'll then come back to the main point of sale again and just kind of finish off through this process, which then invites somebody to come back through and give them a special offer. So there's a number of points there, and we'll try and kind of go through them one by one. So our journey is going to start on a tablet. So I'm sitting there flicking through my Facebook page, and I can see Cronus Urban Lifestyle has got a Facebook page, and they're using this as a means of sending information out. So information about offers that we've got, special deals, we've got a new range coming out. So we're using it as an opportunity to push information out to our customers in a way that means something to them. Now, it could be we're publishing offers out using published offers in LS Retail. It could be that we're just creating an offer manually in Facebook and taking coupons that are specific to a customer. So in this case, what it's done is it's driven me to the website. So this is the LS Retail Magento website, using the standard version of that here. So we can start to get a feel of the company we're talking to. It's a way of making sure that the brand is perceived in the right way on whatever touch point we're doing. So when Doug earlier was talking about the store being everywhere, the store is absolutely everywhere. People spend a lot of time on things like Facebook and Instagram. So the ability to go there, come back to my e-commerce website, which might tell me about special offers or things that are driving me back into the store, I can then come back to Facebook and finish off. In this case, I can choose to actually use this offer in store, or I can choose to use it online if I wanted to. So what I'm going to do is, rather than go online, we're going to go to the store. So when we arrive to the shop, everyone has their bugbears about certain retailers. One of my biggest bugbears is people on the shop floor, I don't know if I said it earlier, but people on the shop floor not having enough information about what they're selling, or not knowing stock levels, or not knowing information about the items. So going to a shoe shop, for example, and saying, have you got this in my size? And somebody disappears off for 10 minutes. You're standing there looking like a bit of a lemon in the shop, waiting for them to come back, and only to tell you, no, so we've not got that. And then you just walk out as a pretty unsatisfied customer. So LS Mobile POS helps us engage much better with customers, because it's putting lots and lots of information in the hands of store assistants. If you've got a large store that sells large items like garden centres or DIY, for example, queue busting is very powerful. The ability to scan all the items and suspend the transaction to call it back without having massive long queues, which is a problem. We have the ability to look at all the different PLU codes we have, so we can look at the items we've got in store. I can pick, this has been the most demoed item today, I think, the bag Linda. I don't know if everyone seems to really like it. So the bag Linda, we can see information about the bag, about what it's like, information that's going to be pertinent to me. I can see stock levels. I can see which stores have got stock. From here as well, we can actually use LS Recommends. Now, I think LS Recommends in a mobile POS environment is much more useful than a physical POS. In a physical POS, you've kind of gone and found what you want to buy. You've got to the checkout and you want to get out the door. Whereas what mobile POS is enabling us to do is the ability to put information in store whilst we're still walking around the store, giving information about items which we can recommend based on the intelligent stuff that's coming from Microsoft and LS. So we're starting to take what was just a quick sale, we're now making it an experience which is an engaging one for the customer. And then what we're then doing is using it not just as an opportunity to make the customer have a better experience, we're using it as an opportunity to upsell and make more value from that particular transaction. So from here, we're actually in the payment recommendations now. So when we choose to finalize the transaction, we have another opportunity to possibly do an upsell as well when we go to the checkout. So I've taken what was originally just a £37 sale, and it's now a £127 sale. So it's been quite a good day for the sales assistant. In this case, you can finalize the transaction in store if you wanted to on the handheld. You can use an EFT payment integration like the Ingenico ISMPs, or alternatively, we can suspend the transaction. It might be that I wanted my items bagging up and folding and putting away. So we're going to suspend the transaction, and then we're going to bring it back on the main point of sale. So continuing that theme, we're now going to log back into our proper point of sale system. And from here, because we can suspend the transaction, we can just recall that transaction very, very quickly and easily and finish it off without having to think too much about it. So straight away, my customer's details are all in there in terms of what they've ordered. We can then look at the item itself. Obviously, if you're not seeing the swipeable POS, we can now look at further product detail if we wanted to as well, and have more detailed product imagery if that's what you're looking for. At this point as well, we could even do more recommendations if you wanted to, but like I said, I think once you've got to the checkout, you're looking to pay and get out the door rather than look to engage further. So from here, what we've done is we say, okay, thanks very much, Mr. Customer. We want to get some information about you now. Now, typically, when you go to a shop, another one of my bugbears is I don't want to have to fill out a piece of paper form to join their membership scheme in order that they can market to me. That's how it feels when you go to a store. Whereas Apple have proved that everyone is more than happy to give an email address to receive an email receipt. It's very, very normal these days. So what we've done is we've created an email receipt. Customer arrives on their device. See, they've got a new mail, and I've got a new Cronus receipt that's come through. So I've done a little extra stuff here which just brings some HTML onto the email and gives us some advertising. So what we're saying here is we're trying to encourage the customer to come back to us again by saying we're going to give you a 20% discount if you buy through our loyalty app. So I've got my e-receipt, I've got my new recommendations on the receipt so I can see information. If you're selling sensitive items, it might be that a receipt's a more appropriate place to put recommendations rather than on a big screen. So from here, we can hit the link, it's going to take us straight to the App Store to go and download our app. Now, in true Blue Peter fashion, if you're British, here's one I prepared earlier. So we're going to go to the App Store and download and open the loyalty app. Now, what I love about the loyalty app is it's a fully fledged e-commerce system. It allows us to buy things and transact in the way that we'd expect to do so. It allows us to browse all the range, look at all the items, look at everything that's for sale for me. But what's also pretty cool is we can actually use this and engage it with our promotions engine. So we can push through pricing, offers, coupons, deals that are relevant for that particular customer. Now, you just cannot do that in mobile web because people aren't always signed into it. People are always signed into this app, so we know what they're going to want to buy. So from here, we can go and select the item we'd like to purchase. So in this case, we're going to look for these jeans. And from here, we have the ability to now do things like wish lists. We can see item availability and which stores there's availability. So if I want to get it delivered to me, that's fine. If I want to go and pick it up from the store, also fine. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the transaction, go to the checkout, and as a very happy customer, I find I've got my 20% discount being applied to the transaction. And I have choices of what to do next. So when I proceed through the transaction, I can choose whether I want to have a home delivery or whether I want it to be a click and collect order. So click and collect, very, very simple. I can look to see which stores there are in my local area. I can see which stores have got stock as well. I can look at the map. And so from the map, I can get a good understanding of which store is going to be local to my location and which ones have got stock. So straight away, we're going much further on from just thinking about going to a website, hoping they've got stock and expecting a delivery. I feel much more engaged because I have choices. I have choices to go to store, choices to go online, whichever makes sense. So from here, what's going to then happen is that's going to come ping through back to the main point of sale again. So the point of sale has this function came in a couple of years ago called retail messaging. And retail messaging allows us to push the information down of the order so it's ready for picking. This is also going to be included into the normal mobile POS as well, so we can start doing picking mobile. We're just going to say collect in location. So if you have a big, large format store, this might be useful because we have different collection places. And what then will happen is the order is now ready to be collected. So the cool thing about having the loyalty app means that I can get notifications. So not doing emails which are going to go into a junk box, we get a notification with a QR code saying, Mr. Customer, your item is now ready for collection for X number of days. I can rock up to the store with my QR code, scan it in store, and straight away they can recall my transaction. I always hate it when you have somebody flicking through a list of orders and trying to put a ruler with a pen out to make sure they've got the right click and collect order. So I can recall my transaction. I can finish the transaction, and if I wanted to again here, we could use this as another opportunity to do an upsell or a cross-sell using the recommendation engine. But in this case, we're just going to finish the transaction off, and we're going to send another email receipt. So it's kind of closing the loop. So effectively what we've done is we started off on Facebook, we went then through to have a look at e-commerce, we went back to the mobile point of sale, we then flowed back through to the normal point of sale in store. So we're trying to make sure we connect with customers in different ways and give them tools which are useful to them. That email is going to be received to the customer, and so to finish that transaction off, all that's left now is another point that was made earlier about the people who are our best advertisers are our customers. If we have happy customers, they will talk positively about us. So my customers can then go back online again, and they can start hitting like on Instagram. They can start sharing things, and the more sharing that goes on, it's free advertising. We have one customer we're talking to who they have 75% of their business comes via mobile. All of it's online. And the amazing thing with these guys is every single bit of their marketing is done on social media. It's all driven through social media. And they've gone from, I think, a zero turnover 3 years ago when they started out as a startup. And in 3 years, they've turned into a £15 million business. It's just a new way of doing things. So what we now have is a happy repeat customer who's an engaged customer that wants to share their experience because they like shopping here. And you get this kind of loyalty, which you can only get through this kind of thing. So just to wrap up then, what I think we're trying to do here is we're trying to give big retail tools, the stuff that Amazon, the stuff that eBay, the things that they've been using for a long time. What LS are doing is they're making these big retail tools, and they're actually making them available to everybody and making them consumable and pretty easy to get hold of. So that's pretty much me done. Thanks very much for your time. If there's any questions? I've noticed so far it's been very low on questioning. So yeah, anything else to finish on there, Louise? No? Okay, thanks very much. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day.